Three, two, one. Hello, and welcome. This is always a weird way to start a podcast. What's up, everybody? I am Alex. We're here to talk about some Johnny Depp trial stuff. It's going to be, honestly, it's going to be a blast. So let me say this. You're going to hear a mysterious voice in the background, and it's going to be pretty funny, but it's an amazing person and an amazing channel. So I have Jay here, Degenerate Jay. Some of you, the diehards will know, the people that are watching me for the very first, or the people that have been watching me, I guess, for the trial, that have heard me just bash on Amber. You may not know who Jay is. Great guy, a great friend of mine. He has a channel. The link's in the description. So at any point during the show, if you guys want to click on that and support the guy, he does amazing work. He's talked about Johnny before, and some, I think, pirate stuff too, right, Jay? You've done that. So thank you for being here. And him and I are gonna. I'll let Jay talk, but I want to let you guys know we're here to obviously field questions. Talk about the trial. Talk about this past week is going to be the biggest stuff, but also kind of broader topics that Jay can talk about as well. And we'll talk about next week, because this is it. The week today, we may have actually the official confirmation a week right now, who wins, who loses. So Jay, thank you for being here, buddy.
Hey man, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, and I'm excited to talk about it. Yeah, I have been following the trial a lot. I have not watched every second of every day like you have. I've on the days
You're
where
not
I haven't
crazy.
really.
You're not
No,
crazy.
I couldn't stand to cover it too much. I've done two big videos on the Johnny Depp Amber Heard stuff. I believe like two very big videos about Johnny. I did two smaller videos about Amber and about what I think like their
But you did an Aquaman one, right?
yeah, and Hollywood's ignorance on this situation, and kind of just assuming like I'm gonna rein in my opinion here, but a little bit assuming that like woman abused, man abuser, kind of that kind of stuff, and my personal experience with some stuff like that in my own life and things like that. So this is kind of a case that hits close to home for me. I know a lot of people have weaponized this case in many different ways, and a lot of people have kind of really thrown in behind it, and you see all these people with Amber Heard and stuff especially doing that, where it's like
A lot of bots,
the believe
though. A lot of bots.
yeah, a lot of bots, and a lot of the fringe believe all X type of person
Yeah.
people, where it's like it can't possibly be a lie. So this kind of stuff has been really eye-opening, I think, for a lot of people in a lot of ways, and it's interesting to talk about and be here for.
And this week was, this week was maybe the most important week, right? Because, and I think I want to make known, even like in this live stream, I haven't really said it much in videos. I get people have been saying, like, oh, this X person has made Johnny look a little bad this week. I mean, you have to expect, if you're Johnny, like, you're going to take some hits, in this trial, whether it's your own witnesses that obviously Elaine or Roddenborn or whatever, right, is going to go after. But also, I mean, these are Amber's goons. These are people that leached off of Johnny Depp, Rocky, Io, Josh Drew. I mean, these are people that lived rent-free. They're selling pearls. They're selling jewelry, which, by the way, there's nothing wrong, with having a store or going to thrift stores and selling your jewelry. But if you think you're going to live in a 1.2 million penthouse from that, you're nuts. So these people were given money, envelopes of money from Johnny for years, or for at least for months, to live in these places. And then what really disappointed me, now, Jay, I know again, you said you've been in and out. One thing I want to start with is Whitney. Whitney is her sister, right? So Whitney obviously changed her story. She's been very back and forth. And Whitney's been abused by Amber throughout her entire life. It's well documented. There's other people that have said it. And you could actually see, I think, by the way Johnny looked at her this past week, the look of, in my opinion, disappointment, where it's like, I know what you've been through. You know what I've been through. We've actually been through similar things. And you have the guts to stand up there or sit up there on trial and lie about my stories, the stories that happened to me. But luckily, this upcoming week, they're actually going to have a rebuttal witness, Jennifer Howell, that's going to absolutely destroy it. So it's crazy to see Amber's own people, just these freaking leeches, these losers of the earth, turn on Johnny when they were all buddy-buddy. They were so afraid for Amber's well-being. They were so, oh my God, I don't know if we're going to be able to keep Amber in the relationship. Well, you want Amber in the relationship because you're leeching millions off of Johnny. So if you have such a problem with him beating her daily, maybe leave. But of course, they all need their penthouses.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous when you actually look at how everybody who is with Amber has something to gain
Oh yeah, they all
from
do.
her because they are no longer gaining anything from Johnny Depp.
Right.
Like
Well, yeah. At this
that's
point,
hilarious.
I think so. These people, and we've learned this, they've been cut off. Amber cut them off. Amber's like a what would you even want to call her? These people have all had relationships with each other, and they're all done. Rocky and Josh Drew were fiancés together, and they broke up early or mid 2017. And they didn't talk to Amber, at least Josh didn't talk to Amber for 2 years until Amber reached out to him 2 months before the deposition. Of course, right? Because she hasn't talked to the guy in 2 years, but she contacts him 2 months before the video to tell him, hey, we need to get our freaking stories straight, right? We need to all make sure we're telling the same truth. So yeah, these people have all been friends with each other, and even they don't like Amber. They've all split up from Amber, and yet, but here's the thing: if she wins, she gets $100 million. Now, that is technically separate, but in her wildest dreams, if she wins, she gets $100 million. You don't think she's promised each of them a little dough, right, for lying? So yeah, these people are all in it. They have something to win. They lost their penthouses. They lost their reason for being cool, all that kind of stuff. But now they can maybe get $5-10 million each if Amber gives it to them.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting ones you pointed out, and I'm horrible at names, so I apologize for that, but was Johnny Depp's ex-manager from years and years ago.
Oh, the agent, the girl, talent.
Yes,
yeah.
the agent.
The agent.
Yeah, where it was like I helped create Johnny and all this stuff.
Did
but
you know
then,
she's the reason he's the biggest star in Hollywood, not him? I didn't know that until she told
right?
me.
But Johnny's not the reason that Amber Heard got Aquaman though. That she did with her acting, but Johnny didn't get Pirates or any of these other things with his acting. It was because of agents and talent managers and stuff like that. Even though he was still riding that wave long into when now Amber's side is saying his career was dying.
Yeah.
The problem I have with this is like there was sadly a narrative that could have been painted here of mutual destruction. And what I mean by that is, kind of the type of thing that Johnny has sort of said before a little bit of like, Amber gives it as much as she can take it, that kind of stuff. They really could have. Now, I'm not advocating for Amber's side at all. I absolutely hate it. But they could have kind of gone away of like, yes, Amber is guilty of some stuff here, but, so was Johnny. This was a messed up relationship. But they can't do that because she's so prideful.
Well, I think it's pride, and it's also honestly going in. So going in, I mean, I knew a lot about this case, but I didn't know every single thing, right? And so I was even saying, and I saw other people say, if you can settle, so the reason why I don't think that strategy is good for Amber is because I still think it plays for Johnny, right? Because if Amber is the face of domestic violence, can you be the face of domestic violence when you are equals in the relationship? You can't. You know what I mean? So from her side, to say she's a victim, even though she hates that word, so everybody should call her that, by the way. Amber's a victim of being stupid. But no, she's a victim, and if you say that, you can't also dish it out. So the idea that she could dish it as much as she got it back, which is not a great line from Johnny, because that was a scary line they could lean into. But again, I don't think they really could, because if you say, yeah, she abused him, he abused her, they're both evil. Fine, you may make some people, like conservative people maybe on Twitter, you may make them happy, but it doesn't help the case because she's not a victim of domestic violence if she's also doing it. So from her side, you have to just show, no, I never touched him, or if I did touch him, even when I clocked him and I say I nailed a blow, like a finishing blow to him, it was only because he attacked me first. So that's what she's sewn herself. I mean, there's no getting out of that.
Yeah, she's really backed herself into a corner, and I think the issue with that is you could do that. I mean, like, what you're saying is true. Like, that is kind of the narrative you have to go with. The problem is that's the narrative you have to go with if it's not caught on tape that you admitted to hitting someone.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much stuff here, and, the evidence is just, to me, the whole way through, and I'm not trying to bring it back weeks, but, I've never been on here and talked to you about it. It's just been so flimsy. Like, it's been stuff like, well, he said these mean words about doing stuff to me or wishing I was dead to his friend privately over text. Yeah. Which also, to me, it's kind of like, why do you even have that? But secondly, it's it's also one of those things too where it's like if we follow Amber around and we go through absolutely everything she's ever said, you can find very
Well,
egregious stuff as well. You pointed out she never submitted
yeah,
everything.
that's the thing. He by accident gave everything for the last 10 years. She didn't give anything. So they can go through and say, "Oh, look, they said burn the witch, bury her, do something to her dead body, some bad stuff, some stuff I would never send in a text, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm not him, and I wasn't getting abused my whole, relationship with her. That's the thing. That's where I stand. Some people will say still, he's still done some bad stuff. I mean, I'm not trying to paint him as the greatest man of all time or anything like that. Obviously, he's got drug problems. He's got alcohol problems. He smokes a lot. Like, I'm not saying he's perfect, but even the vocal violence, right, the verbal violence that he's done to her, which I would call that, I don't really blame him. I mean, that at that point, I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. If I'm dealing with Amber, someone who cut my finger off and admits it in an audio recording, by the way, but you can't play that audio recording because it's the doctor saying it, so that's a third party, so you can't play it. So when you have on record that she admits she did it, and so your wife cuts off your freaking finger and all this stuff, I mean, you wouldn't say some mean stuff to her in texts? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous, and I do think that this is it's a can of worms to open too, because I think when you get too far into it, people will turn it on you. So like if you, Alex, say like, well, we've all said mean stuff, people will be like, oh, so you're talking about burning people's bodies.
I've actually never said stuff like that. Yeah.
No, like that's not what anyone's saying. What we're saying too is, first off, Johnny is an older man. He is from an era before now, and I'm not saying it was ever right to make certain comments about people, but what I'm saying
it's also
is
a Monty Python reference too.
yes. Yeah, and that's true. And a lot of that stuff was seen more between friends as like, well, what you say, we keep it between friends. Nowadays, if you were to say something like that to some random person, it's going to get out there in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So there was kind of an expectation of privacy on a lot of this stuff, and it would be different if he said burn the witch and then like he went home and tried to burn his house down with her in it or something. But we have just constant things coming out, like sneaking in James Franco to the house and all this other stuff. And by the way, on that one too, not to derail the conversation, but that's something I thought was really funny, because there were those pictures and it's like her allegedly sneaking James Franco into their house to sleep with him. And it's something I pointed out too, like I know people don't like James Franco now, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but James Franco has kind of come out and said that he had addiction to sexual stuff and
he
pulled
pulled out. He was getting ready to testify for her and he refused. So I will give him credit that now, is he still a coward? And he looked at it and said, oh, this is going to make me look bad, but I was going to have her back because I'm going to support the victim. But now, oh, she's, it's going to make, so I think he still could be a piece of garbage, but I will give him credit that he at least didn't go up on stand and just lie through his teeth, because he was clearly having an affair with her. It's like, it's not even it's in a deposition from somebody or in writing that Elon had a three-way with Amber and Grimes. So it's like, of course Amber is sleeping around with. I mean, it's just such a joke. Let me get through a couple of these. Amber has had a lot of people from her side take the stand after her. Do you think Johnny will as well? So Johnny already, I don't really get, he did already. So he had a lot of people go, both before and after him. He had Isaac go, I think, before him. He had a lot of people go after. So Amber, like I said, the thing with Amber is she's got her core four. It's Amber, Rocky, Io, Josh, and Whitney. That's it. That's the four. That's the four plus Amber. That's the only group that she has that can, combine stories and make up their own narrative. That's it. And so once you get past them, you get to Ellen Barkin, the actress from 50 years ago that was jealous of Johnny as a girlfriend, and he tossed a bottle in her direction. She literally said the word toss, and then she like feared for her freaking life. So once you get past those people and Amber, you're really weak on witnesses. So I think they combated it as well as you could. You know what I mean? They had people that kind of were scary, that could be scary to them. Whitney obviously was a big one that could be very bad, and I think they handled it really well, and they're still going to have people that can handle it well. Do you think they could rule this mutual No, they're going to rule one way. It's got to be unanimous, so I think it's just going to be one way or the other. Aquaman, I love that. It's karma. You leave your wife with two beautiful kids for a bimbo, you get Amber Heard. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, Johnny's had a lot of girlfriends in his. Again, I don't think he's perfect. He's been what's the word? Engaged. He's been engaged multiple times before. I mean, a lot of celebrities don't really have, I think, their life figured out in terms of the partner they want to spend their life with, like maybe some other people, which is sad. But I guess that does lead you to Amber. Amber's team has 8 hours. Johnny's has 18. Yeah, Johnny's has 10 hours ahead, which is insane. We'll talk about that later on. That's really going to be crucial. What's up with you and Jay, who I saw earlier in the chat? We're doing good, buddy. I hope everyone is doing well. So, yeah, Jay, anything you want to kind of just throw in? I mean, well, one thing, like, it's almost over. I mean, we're at the end of this thing. We got 1 week left. Amber's got maybe 2 days. She's probably going to, not even, in my opinion, she'll rest probably at the end of Monday or early Tuesday just because of, I don't know. I just feel like you have to have some time for cross. So the thing is almost over. So I guess, Jay, being somebody from like an outside, you don't watch every single second, what do you feel? Like, do you feel energy that it's going into the last week or anything?
I'm worried about a settlement.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get the I don't think either will get the money. I think they'll get the win, and then they'll get $1, which is what they do in court.
And I guess, so to be honest, I know that like a settlement, like say if Johnny was paid out and this didn't fully go, all the way. I guess my problem with that, because people have been bringing this up, and to be fair, you and I talked about this. A lot of the legal experts bringing this up are clout chasers. I'm not talking about people on YouTube. I'm talking about like, Joe Schmo, attorney at law, divorce expert who like weighs in and then gets in a headline, those kinds of people. Yeah. A lot of them, they're the ones, giving these opinions on like, well, there could be a settlement or whatever. I guess my thing is,
I don't think he's going to settle.
Seems, yeah. And I really want Johnny to win this, like win-win, because like this is going to be a precedent. And if it doesn't fully go all the way, it's not a precedent. It's like the case you were bringing up the other day, with Johnny Depp and his investment, the money manager, where it was like he mismanaged his money and then he had to pay Johnny Depp $10 million. Well, here's the problem. It went to settlement. And what happens when it goes to settlement? There's not a verdict, right? Settlement is basically like one party admitting, I want this to stop because it's looking bad for me. Here's money. Yeah. But you can't use that as a legal precedent going forward. Yeah. And you can't really use it in the public light as a precedent, because if Amber paid Johnny and the situation went away, right, which I'm not saying is like a bribe, that's just how settlements work. Like if you look into the court system, this is going bad. I don't want to potentially lose. Whether I'm not going to admit fault, but here's a bunch of money, so this goes away and isn't potentially worse. Yeah. If that happens, people are going to be using that as a bargaining chip, for decades. Like, well, it was never proven that Amber did X, Y, or Z. It was settled. I'm worried about that.
That's what I'm getting. Like, I know I'm biased, and I know I've obviously been team him from the beginning. I really feel how this trial has gone, he's going to win. She obviously could have done damage on her side. I feel she did horrible. Like, this last week, guys, was awful. It was so... I mean, remember, this past Monday was the cross of her. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, that's when Camille took her to school. They destroyed her. They pointed out all the flaws in her story. She has nothing. We know from the jurors how they feel about her. I mean, So I guess what I'm getting at, I really think he's going to win. But I'm also at the point... Some things have changed. I wasn't sure if he would win in the beginning. Now I'm really hopeful. I guess I'll be really disappointed if he loses. But also, in the beginning, I was saying, win or lose. I still believe this to an extent. Win or lose, he got to tell his story. Now, I do think that is true, right? He said that. He said, I've already lost, right? Like, actually, I think he said, win or lose, I've already lost. So I do agree that no matter the outcome, he has, in our eyes, cleared his name, right? I don't think there's any doubt. The issue is, like you just said, Jay, I really think it takes a win to shut the mainstream media up. Like, if we want CNN, Deadline, Variety, if we want these websites to shut their effing mouths, we need him to, you know what I mean? Because if he loses, like you said, yes, we have cleared his name, or he's cleared his name to us, but these websites can still call him these. In the Sun trial in the UK, you can call him a wife beater over there all day long. That's literally the result of that trial. So if he loses here, the headlines will be, he did beat her. You know, like that's so. And maybe he clears his name for Hollywood, which I do think he did. I think Hollywood likes him more now than they did. But if you lose, I don't know if you get back, because you still have that headline. He needs, in my opinion, he needs to win, and that's scary because obviously it could go either way. But I'm pretty confident he's going to win. But he needs to win at this point. He really, really does. So that those websites, you can't, because then you can't say that, right? Abuser giant. Well, he won. He proved Amber's a liar. So actually, Amber's the abuse. I mean, that's what you need to do, and that's what will happen if this. I'm. As you can tell from my voice, like I definitely am talking faster than ever before, and I normally do for Johnny Depp stuff because it's scary. It's scary stuff. New here from France, Paris. Oh my God, thank you for being here. Her acting was so bad today. It was incredibly pathetic. They're all bad. What about that? What do you think about Austin St. John case? Oh, I don't know. I don't know many other cases besides Johnny, sadly. Imagine if Amber wins. I'll be very mad. Let's get to 50 likes. Yes, leave a like, everybody. If you're here, you like what me and Jay are doing, leave a like just real fast on your way in, on your way out, whatever. You guys are amazing. Thank you. Europe listens too. The world does. The world's watching. I love that line. It's a good line. The world truly is watching. You know what your favorite? I believe you might be right. For us, the people, Johnny won. Yes. Still surprised some people defend Amber, and those same people can only say she's beautiful. All right, so let's go off on a tangent off that kind of, Jay. So what do you feel? Why? I know my answer. Why do you feel the people that support Amber still support Amber? Why do you think people still would do it?
I think there's a couple groups. I think that there is the Believe All Women group, which
that's
I think,
yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, and whenever I bring this up, people will say they kind of twist it, and I've seen people do this in
group
my own
is good.
comments.
This comment section is good. They know what we mean. We know we're not like the general idea. Yeah, it's like it's not like anti-women, to say, oh, you can't be believable. We should be. I think it should be innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, innocent until proven guilty, and always investigate.
Yeah,
that's what I always say. Like if my wife were to come out and say I hit her or something like that, even though I didn't, that should be investigated, because like I think it's important that you look into all these things, because I've seen people actively try to report real abuse and the police just ignore it, or like they kind of look into it very surface level and it's like whatever. And then I've also had cases in my own life where I had a friend, and I told you about this before, and I talked about it in one of my Johnny videos. He was accused of naughty misconduct, is how I'm going to say it for your channel, of hurting someone else in an intimate way. And then the police proved that that didn't happen, and that his ex-girlfriend was making it up because he caught her cheating on him and then broke up with her. So she made up a big story around the entire campus where they were that this happened. I can't say anything more than that, like in more depth, because one, it's life stories are not protected by legality, but if I go too far and someone could identify who this is, I could technically get in trouble. So I should say this is all in my opinion. But I've seen this kind of stuff happen on both sides, and I think it's not about believe all X or don't believe all X. I think that what it's about is you look into it, you investigate, you try and figure out what's going on, and there's a reason why there is a burden of proof expectation. It
needs to be that she proves he did it, not the other way around. That's how it should always be.
Right, and that's what I think too. And I think the problem is the culture has shifted. I think that it's an overcorrection, and this is something you and I have also talked about in different videos, where I think that it's well intended by a lot of people. Actually, it's malintended by others who want to weaponize and use these movements, like I believe Amber has made a lot of money and fame doing, like abusing and using the Me Too movement and misconduct and women's rights being, or like, should I say, women's interests being ignored in the past, where like there were women just getting clocked by their husbands in the 50s and 60s and all this stuff, and it was just common.
And it's gone the other way, like you said. I mean, now it's now men have to be the ones to have done that, and women can't. When I mean, that's it's the overcorrection. It's the idea of like, well, we did a bad job here, let's swing the pendulum all the other way. And like we've talked about in the past, the answer usually lies a little more in the middle, sometimes a little left, sometimes a little right, but it's in the middle more-ish, with a lot of issues where you have a medium tempered approach. And I think the problem is there's a lot of people who have thrown their hats in behind the Believe All Women, Me Too movement, all these things, just like we see with any political movement,
and they've really put their personality, belief system, and values into that. And to see that fall apart publicly, it would be like a dismantling of their entire belief system, which would hurt them as a
Exactly.
person.
Right. That's
We
why.
we see this a lot.
That's what I think. You go all in. She's the face of. She's the face. She's the face of the ACLU. She's the face of domestic violence against women. Of Me Too. I mean, that's just what it is. So you can't drop CNN. You know what I mean? Like CNN, you can't drop that. You have to die by it. That's you can talk about it politics. You can talk about it with the past presidents, current presidents, whatever. These are things where you have to die by the blade. So if you are about women can literally do no wrong, if you're that psychologist, you will die like that. You know what I mean? Like you have to stick with that story because it is you. You don't have any distinguishable qualities about you. That is you. So that's you know what I mean? Like that's it. So thank you, Nika. I really appreciate it. Wasn't Amber's team going to call Johnny? Yeah, so I have no idea. I haven't seen anything. Obviously, the initial report was Johnny was going to get called. Everybody else on that list did get called. So I still think it's possible because it was reported. If so, he will be called Monday. He has to be called Monday. So that'll be fireworks. That'll be really fun to see him back up there. And like I've said before, it's the worst idea to call him up, right? Because here's the deal. So you call him up. You're Amber's side. You can't ask him leading questions, okay? So you have to ask him broad, and what is Johnny Depp the best at? You know what I mean? So you have to ask him broad, open questions. He can just talk, and of course they'll try to cut him off, but he'll say, I'm trying to answer your question. So they're going to try to get this stuff from him. He's going to take up their time. He's going to talk for like years because that's what he's good at, and then his side can ask leading questions. So imagine you're his side. You get up there. Imagine the questions you can ask your own client, the innocent one, on cross because the other side was stupid enough to call him up there. That would be like if they called Amber. It'd be bad. It'd be really bad. So it's I hope they do it because it's awful for Amber's side. But if they call Johnny up, I mean, any trouble he gets himself into with Roddenborn, his side can get him out because you just have to ask him leading questions and he can answer whatever he wants. You know what I mean? It'll be bad for them. So it'll be great for his side if that happens. I'm going to kind of rattle through. You guys freaking rock, by the way. Thank you so much. Make sure you leave a like if you do like this stuff. I'll be live again next week too when the stuff is going down. I'll let you know my plans on that later. When does the trial end exactly? So next Friday morning, they do closing arguments, 2 hours each side, Camille and Ben, and then Elaine and Roddenborn. And it'll be an hour for each of the four, so 2 hours both, 4 hours altogether. And then the jury goes back, and the jury deliberates, and then they come out. And they come out either Friday or they come out Saturday. Technically, it could go longer, but I think they should be out Friday night, to be honest with you. So hopefully Friday around this time, maybe earlier, we'll have our answer. So that'll be freaking, man, my heart is going to be pounding next Friday. I'm going to be real. I love that Amber Turd is still getting destroyed. I mean, did you see her face after they said Amber Turd on the hashtag thing? She looked so mad. Are you a fan of Justice? Big fan of Justice. That was a great line. It's so sad to see how far people will go to try to diminish someone else. Well, she's a leech. This was her plan from the beginning. Rank the lawyers. Camille is number one, but what about the rest? I think Camille and Ben are pretty even, to be honest. I think Ben is pretty talented. I think Roddenborn is actually good. He's just on the wrong side, right, of justice. He's on the wrong side. Elaine, I really don't think Elaine is good. I like the older guy, the guy who did the cross on a couple of the experts, the guy who did the cross on the hashtag guy too, on Johnny's side. I like him. He stutters. He's got a weird way of talking, but he gets there. He'll ask really good questions, like specific ones that you would want to ask yourself. He manages to get himself there, so I like him. And then everybody else, I don't know. They have a couple younger ones. Johnny's side, obviously, I think they literally are young legal people that just aren't that used to things. She is beautiful. She is stunning. She's just a little naughty. Who, Amber or Camille? The important part, something is wrong with her and believe all women was important. I was a domestic violence victim, and no one believed me. Now I realize, OMG, there is a huge problem with domestic violence in general. Yeah, a settlement can still make stipulations, which could have protected Johnny from future acts of defamation. It's just Amber who's going to take shots at this guy. We need to hear a woman, man, child. Just don't believe everything changed the system. Do you believe that Amber is to blame for Jason Momoa and his wife getting a divorce? She is a plague. She kills everything, so probably. True survivor knows she's a liar just by how she described the beatings. A man couldn't walk away and dance the next day after taking that kind of beating. She's evil to the core. Yeah, so, Jay, come on. Let me ask you this, right? So the stories Amber tells, and I'm sure you've heard some of them. I guess I can tell you new ones if you don't know any. But what, like, just, again, sitting there, right? You're sitting on your couch, you're sitting whatever. You hear Amber has, like, broken glass sticking out her feet like in freaking Die Hard, right? She's, like, a complete mess. And then she goes to, like, she gets pictures like the next day, and her excuse is makeup. Like, what does a normal person, like, think of that?
I want to say it's funny, but like I also feel like I'm gonna get in trouble.
It's funny. I laugh when she testified. I laughed a lot, to be honest. Now, out of hypocrisy, I like to make it known, right? Because like her telling the bottle story where she got it, I can't say the words, like bad stuff, right? I like to make it very clear that I'm not suggesting I'm laughing at the idea of being blanked or being beaten. I'm laughing that somebody thinks I'm laughing right now. I'm laughing because I laugh because how can somebody think that story makes sense in the given context? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it never really does. And I also think it's funny where it'll be like, yeah, he did X, Y, and Z to me, but there's footage of me laughing the day after his mother died.
I go to Coachella. I'm at Coachella completely fine.
Yeah. I'm going to Coachella. Hey, bro, why are you upset? It's just a prank, bro. Like that kind of attitude and energy being projected at a guy whose mom just died. And like, yeah. I don't know. Like there's just so much. My problem with it is, and I've seen some comments. I want to say two things. I don't know where the comment went because I am trying my best not to interrupt you at all because it's your stream.
I'm just trying to write. I mean, because I'm talking so fast and there's a lot of comments. I just like to try to read them all.
Oh, no, I totally get that. One person did mention that a lot of people also side with Amber because she's pretty, which I think...
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's as many of those, though. I don't think there's as many.
I think that there's some, and I really do think a lot of it's an ideology thing, though. But there absolutely are some. Just like I'm sure there are some fans of Johnny who would have been fans of Johnny no matter what came out.
Right.
Like
that's
just how it works.
Yeah,
and I also did want to say with this too, though, that with all these stories, I think the funniest thing to me in terms of hypocrisy is just how the trial has been conducted from the beginning. Like Johnny, if he answers questions too long with Rottenborn or whatever, it's like, oh, you're wasting the court's time, you're doing this or that, and they're like digging around for their statements and proof and evidence and stuff forever, weeks ago, and like wasting tons of time. When Amber's up there, she's just allowed to drone on and on and on and on, and that's not wasting time. I guess to me, it's kind of one of those things where it's like the best that they could do is paint Johnny as having issues. And it's like, nobody denies that. Nobody's ever denied that. He doesn't deny that. He doesn't go up there and say like, well, I've never done any drinking. I've never done anything. Like he doesn't go up there and be like, hello, Johnny Depp, priest of the local Catholic Church here with no problems, here to give you a sermon or something. Like he doesn't present himself that way.
Right. I mean, he literally is a rock. Like I'm not saying this like he's so cool. He's a literal rock star. He's literally in a band. He loves music. He's an actor. Like I'm not defending the excessive use of alcohol or drugs. I've said it. So I've drank like one alcoholic beverage like my entire life. Like, I mean, I'm the most straight edge you can get. I've done no drugs, not a single one. I've never smoked a cigarette, literally nothing. So, so obviously it comes a little bit different, but
yeah, me too, Alex. Me too.
You mentioned exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Same.
But I mean, that's who I've always been. That's just always kind of been part, not that you're bad for doing it. And that's actually kind of the point, right? Like he does what, like, yeah, like you said, like whoever thought, I mean, I was making jokes on Twitter the first week of the trial being like, oh my God, guys, did you know Johnny did drugs? It's like, oh my God, of course we knew he played Jack Sparrow. You know what I mean? It's like, are we serious? So yeah, it's like, the thing with Amber, though, is that's the only thing they have of him. The only stuff they have is him being an addict and him abusing drugs. Some drugs, like really bad drugs, he had to get detox, right? So that's it. And so it's their job to point and draw the line that drugs and drinking equals bad. And the sad thing, and the sad, stupid thing, or in a good way, if anybody on the jury has ever done that stuff, they're laughing at those arguments. You know what I mean? You only need one jury member to be like, well, I did drugs in high school and college. Like it doesn't mean I suddenly started beating women. Like it's, you know what I mean? And that's a tough line because you just need one jury member, or what I liked, right? So I never really thought of his rings. I know he wears rings all the time. Jack Sparrow wears a lot of rings as well, multiple on a finger. So I knew that, but I never really thought of it. When Camille brought that up, I was like, oh my God, again, slay queen. But it's like, yeah, so he punched you multiple times where you lost count, you like went in and out of consciousness. He punched you with big burly rings every single time. And she's, yes, the answer is yes, he did that. And then you see the pictures of her. And it's like, so those are the marks of somebody who beat you unconscious with big, huge rings. And again, to the jury, it just takes a couple to be like, well, I know what a ring is like on my hand. In fact, oh, look, I have a ring on my hand. And if I punch somebody in the face with this hand, it's going to do something. Like, you know what I mean? All it takes is that. And then the stories just go completely down the drain.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem is that there's really no evidence or anything backing up most of what she says.
Well, the tough
whereas,
thing,
like,
Jay, the tough thing is, why does she need evidence? Let's be real. Like, did she need
right.
evidence? I don't really think she did.
Well, and that's kind of the issue, I think, with the American court system, though, too, is like, not that it's never gone this way, but generally, if you don't have any evidence, it's kind of hard to get a jury to unanimously agree.
Oh yeah,
like,
that's the thing.
Get a few people, but
to get all seven has to like her. I mean, does anybody like her really? If you really sit there,
they won't even look at her. They won't even look at her. If you watch the footage, they won't look her in the eye.
They won't look at her. They won't look at her. So, one of them rolls his eyes at her. Multiple of them look at Camille, not at her. It's bad. It's so bad. Let me take this time. We're not, done. We're gonna go for a while more. But if you guys like, by the way, the other person on this call, it's Degenerate Jay.
I don't like him.
Like we don't like Amber. No, but if you do like the guy, he's an amazing guy. I have his channel link in the description if you guys want to click on it. Show him some love. Show him some support. I love to have him on. I love having him on all the time, and hopefully we can get him on again next week as we get to the ending of the trial. I'll talk to Jay about that after. But make sure you guys are supporting him. Leave a like on this video too, guys, if you could. It helps the algorithm, which we know destroys the Johnny Depp stuff. It just gives you Law and Crime Network. Woman fought hard for being heard. She destroyed it. Agreed, which is very sad. Again, love your opinions. Thank you. Men can be a victim as well as a woman. Completely agree. If Johnny wins, I hope other men that have falsely been accused would have the courage to also reclaim the respect they used to have. Agreed. Marilyn Manson will be next up. And I don't really know how to feel about Manson. I haven't looked into it enough. There's a lot of conspiracies that, like, a lot of the evidence, there is evidence against him, but it's literally planted. Like, there is evidence that somebody went on his laptop and planted videos or planted documents. So his stuff is sketchy. Like, Johnny's is more very evident what's going on. Marilyn's is like, you have to prove that stuff was planted on you. So that'll be fun to see how that goes. I'm not going to do this for that, by the way. I don't have that kind of attachment. I'll die, actually. I will literally murder myself. I personally wish duels were still a thing. It'd make court much more entertaining. Doesn't have to be death, nor do they have to use deadly weapons. That would be awesome. What's your ranking of the lawyers? I think I said that. Camille and Ben are like the same. I really think they're equal talent. And then the older guy, the one who does the cross on the experts, he would be second or third, I guess. And then there's a young boy, as if he's like 15 years old. There's like a guy and a girl, and they're both pretty young. And then the one that went to Whitney, I don't think she's honestly very strong at all. She'd be probably the weakest. So yeah, that would be my ranking. I mean, Ben and Camille is really all you need, and they're better than Roddenborn and Elaine. So as a woman, it hurts. Domestic violence happens, and she ruined true victims' problems. I feel bad for women who actually have been abused by men. Agreed. I agree. Everyone should be guilty till proven, or should be innocent till proven guilty. Oh boy, the 10-hour difference between teams will hurt her side if they don't choose their witnesses carefully. It already. I mean, the thing I find funny with the 10 hours of difference is she literally did that to herself. You know what I mean? Like, she literally did that to herself, and it's so bad that she actually wasted time on those witnesses to then have less time than him, and she did that by herself. That was her own doing. You are amazing. Thank you for being real. Appreciate it. Whitney's testimony proved Johnny used offensive, degrading language. Amber's off the hook because of that. I'm not a fan of Amber. What? Is that serious? I don't think that means anything. You can use offensive. Again, how I look at it, if Johnny is, I'm not saying it's okay, but the fact that Johnny is verbally abusive to Amber, number one, who started it? Because if he's kind of coming back at her because of what she did, then that's fine. Legally, actually, it would be completely fine. And if he's doing it because she cut his finger off or she's a demon, then I'll give him some slack. You know what I mean? I won't, nothing. I don't know. You have anything to say about that one, Jay?
Yeah, I read that. I thought it was sarcasm. I've been like mostly trying to leave the. I don't know. I've been mostly trying to leave.
No, they said
the
it again.
live
Most
chat to
guys
you.
have not behaved as bad as Johnny. He's no hero. I think they're just anti-Johnny. I mean, look, you can not be on Johnny's side. Here's the thing. I think Jay said this earlier. Like, uh, what I get upset about is everybody who tends to respond in the comments or whatever to me in my videos of Johnny versus Amber, and that are like pro Amber, they always just come off as bots, or they always make it very evident they don't know what they're talking about. And I'm not saying like you're, somebody who hasn't been paying attention, but most of them probably haven't. So when somebody says, "Oh, did you know Johnny did this or that makes him guilty?" It's like, have you been watching the trial? Because like I don't think I don't see how a rational person, one that doesn't have allegiance to a movement or an ideology, how a rational person watches the trial, watch it with your own two eyes, look at the evidence, and then tell me that Amber's in the clear. And I don't think that's humanly possible. That's kind of my response.
Yeah, that's kind of my issue with it too. Like, I understand there's going to be varying takeaways, and you know, sometimes it's easy to get in trouble with the other side of this too, because like I've said before, I understand if your takeaway is, wow, this was a messed up relationship. It seems like she was more in the wrong, but he had a lot of problems. I've seen that takeaway a lot. Fine. That's a fair takeaway. But like, it's about more than that. Like, and you also have to ask yourself, why did he have these problems? Like, look at his background.
Yeah.
Like, he was kind of a victim of abuse himself in his own home, with a lot of issues and neglect and all kinds of other stuff. And then growing up, he had a lot of other problems. And I know a lot of people will say, "Oh, poor rich white guy who."
But he was not born rich, though. He was not born rich.
I know, but if you ever make it,
then you're always rich. Yeah.
Yeah, you're comparatively rich, and you had a leg up and all that stuff. And that's what I think you have to buy into some further narrative to start seeing him as the bad guy. That's what I'm saying, and I think that's what you're saying too.
Right.
And if you do buy into those narratives, that's fine. That's your life to live. But like, you can't really do that and then take it into this and then act like you're coming off with a non-biased take on it. You know what? If there was evidence that had been presented that Johnny Depp was overwhelmingly the bad guy and Amber wasn't,
I would turn
and
on
that
him.
was presented,
I'd turn on
fine.
him.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what I'd still say? Man, I love Pirates of the Caribbean, but that sucks because I'm always going to think of that.
Yeah.
That's what I would that's what I would say. And my big connections to Johnny are 21 Jump Street, the original show. I love that show.
Yeah.
And Pirates. Now, I'm not saying he hasn't been in anything else important, but I'm saying that's my connection to it. This isn't like the guy who raised me. This isn't somebody I have a deep emotional attachment to.
Yeah.
But it really frustrates me because you need to kind of check some of those biases at the door. And I've seen things like that happen before. We saw this with, in my opinion, Kanye and Bill Cosby, where Kanye went into that whole situation. I don't know if anyone knows about this, I'm not going to make this a huge tangent, but he went into that situation with the idea of like, well, this is just another person being accused of something they didn't do. This happens all the time. I've seen it 100 times. And then you get to, Cosby, in my opinion, admitting a lot of that stuff on stand and basically kind of being like, well, it did happen in various ways. And it's like, oh, I brought my narrative into this and now I look like an idiot. I think that's something that people do a lot of the times with stuff. And I understand. I mean, I think sometimes we do that. I think everybody does that where you've had enough of something or you've seen a repeated pattern and you bring it into an overarching situation and you say, well, I've seen this before. This is what it is. But I think that when that evidence starts to manifest and be shown and proven in a court of law, especially, you can't just keep to that narrative. Like your narrative should be moldable enough to change with the evidence presented.
Well, and it's funny because, so this past week, or even the last 2 days, the last 2 days was focused mainly on showing damages to Amber and things I would argue outside of domestic violence, right? So things still related to Johnny, but just not domestic violence. And what's funny is if you're Amber's side, you need to subscribe to the belief that Johnny flipped a switch in 2011, 12, 13, which is odd because then when you also hear his therapist, right, they got his therapist, and the therapist is fine. People are like attacking the therapist online. That's not good. The reason the therapist was there is because Johnny did the treatment thing to Amber with Dr. Curry. So like she agreed to that. He agreed to let them talk to the therapist. So it's not the therapist's fault. And what the therapist proves is his life radically changed when he met Amber. All of these stories, even like his best friend, the one that was turned, the one who doesn't like him anymore, the bandmate, all these stories are that, oh, Johnny's such a great guy, but something changed in him in like 2011, 2012. Oh, let me look. What happened in those years? So all these people and all these exes and all these, burned relationships between the two, Johnny and them. And by burned, I mean like he fired them or whatever. What happened to him during that time that he suddenly radically changed? Oh, he met Amber. So why didn't he act like this his whole life? Why didn't he abuse Winona Ryder? Why didn't he abuse Kate Moss? Why didn't he abuse, you know what I mean? So if you subscribe to that thought, and again, like an abuser, it's part of them. You're not going to get rid of it for years and years. It's always part of you. So it was very funny to hear the last 2 days, hearing that how Johnny's life became a complete mess. His spending habits were all over the place. All oddly, in the first year or two, the change happened when he met her. Isn't that weird that it happened right when he met her?
Yeah, essentially, it's like
it's almost like she had something to do with it. I don't know. I guess I guess it was only him though. That's what she said.
And you and I have said before, it sucks that he ever even ended up with her.
Yeah, I mean, wish this never happened. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Because and he did make his own decisions with relationships and our stuff that did lead him here. I understand that, but I don't think that that's karma. Like I don't think that. I mean, we've all had a relationship or a friendship fall through, right?
He really loved her. I don't think she truly loved him, or it was back and forth with her. I think with him, he truly loved her, and I do believe him. I think the reason he stayed is he wanted to fix her. He wanted to change her, and I think he believed he could do it, unlike his dad. And I fully believe that, that kind of parenting that instilled upon him as a young kid, seeing his dad, what he believes he failed. His dad failed, but he always looked up to his dad like a role model. I think that makes a lot of sense why he would stay with Amber.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I've been in a similar situation. I don't want to make this stream about me specifically, but I have a video. I guess I have 2 videos up about this. If you look up my name, and not right now, not when you're in the stream, but later on.
Open up a different tab.
yeah, don't ruin Alex's stream or I won't be invited back. No, but like I've done a couple videos where I talk about this, and again, it's something where I try and be careful with my own bias on this because I was on the end of an abusive relationship where people didn't believe me, like legitimately, with a girl where it was I don't know if I have to say in my opinion or not. I don't know how this stuff works legally, but essentially it was something where the person very much tried to isolate me, very much tried to remove all friends and other relationships from my life.
That's a lot like Amber. That's a lot like Amber.
Yeah. And control things, and it was escalating to the point of like anger and getting close to violence and stuff like that. And I got out of that relationship. A lot of people, they think that they can change it. You know what I mean? Like they think, and it's a sadly misguided but good-hearted idea of like, wow, this is the person I love. Clearly, I must be part of the problem, and clearly there must be a way to make this person better because I've seen the positive attributes of this person. They're only like this 10% or 20% of the time. They must be the other 80%. And it's like, no, really what they are is they're 75% not a good person. They are able to project that 25% onto the rest of the relationship and time because they're in a neutral state. But as soon as things go negative or get bad, it gets really bad. And that's kind of a sign to get out. And I understand some people trying to say like, well, Johnny should have left. Fine. In hindsight, you can say that about anything. But, if you wouldn't say that about a woman getting beaten by her husband, or you wouldn't say that about a kid, where it's like, well, why didn't the kid just report their dad for hitting them? That's my problem with that, is a lot of the people I see saying this kind of stuff, it's like, well, where's that energy for every other abuse victim? Why are you saying that? I mean, if we look at it, actually, I really do think there is a very big societal belief, despite our movement away from normative gender and normative sexual identities and stuff like that, like the what was seen originally as the default. Despite our movement away from that into a very much more accepting society, there is still very much an underlying bias of the man is stronger. The man, he
Yeah.
has more ability in society to influence how other people see this. Therefore, he must be the abuser. And it's like, well, a lot of those things have actually changed. If we were talking about this in the 50s or 60s or, even up to 2000, I agree, actually. Like, the man very much had a much easier way of controlling the narrative of, like, oh, my wife, she's just being crazy, and then the door's shut and the abuse starts again.
Yeah.
That very much, and it does still happen. But also now you do have entire movements designed around things like this Amber Heard situation where it's an immediate believe all women. It's an immediate this person must be in the right. And I think that you need to somewhat check those biases at the door if you can to try and hear these sides out. Like if you want to come in, and I've seen people say this in the chat here, I've seen people say it in my own comments, and I'll say it 1,000 times. If you want to say Johnny has issues, fine. I don't think anyone will disagree with you. Like Johnny himself wouldn't. I
Yeah.
really don't believe you would.
Yeah.
But like you can't project that onto the case as if, well, that means Amber is excused.
And
or
right,
whatever.
and that's again, that's the thing. Then you have to go into the technical aspects. Well, if they're both at fault, then he still should win. He still should win. Because if your whole point is, well, he's also bad too, Alex. Well, the point is that she's saying it was only him, not her. So then he should win then, even though he is a bad person. So I mean, if you want to think that, fine. You still actually get to, you should want him to win then, because of legal standpoints. It's odd.
Yeah. It should be about justice too, by the way. Like
Justice,
it shouldn't be and it shouldn't even just be about Johnny Depp. Like you shouldn't go into this as like, I'm a big huge Johnny Depp fanboy, therefore he's right.
This is so much big. Like I mean, it takes somebody like him for this to happen. I will say, you know what I mean? So like we are in it. This is an incredible moment, right? Because you do have all these people that are saying, wow, like we messed up. You can't just believe women just because they're a woman, right? And it's like, it takes somebody as massive with a movement, a cultural, zeitgeist behind Johnny. It takes that to happen for something to change. Like when this trial is over, something could very well change. The idea that men can be believed and men can be heard, that legitimately becomes something because of how powerful he is. I have to continue to stroke his ego. But I mean, it takes, if this was Joe Schmo, nobody would be talking about it. No one would cover it. No one would care. Truly. You know what I mean? So it's, you need it to be somebody like Johnny Depp. So while I wish he didn't enter the relationship with Amber, and like if I could have a multiverse where he didn't do that, also like it took this to reel in the movement and to fix the Me Too movement. Like you wouldn't have been able to fix it then. So it actually ultimately needed to happen, which is odd.
Yeah, it's interesting how it works out. I mean, if you look at a lot of the biggest cases throughout history too, like they were ugly. Like they're not super pretty, glamorous things, and there is not always a very black and white outcome, or should I say, like narrative going into it that's very easily perceptible from the public. But it's also important to note that, like, yeah, if he were to, in some weird reality, lose here, I agree with you that he has won back the public's trust and love, would you say, or at least like belief. But there is one thing I do want to add on to here, which again is not to sidetrack. I also think some people need to temper their expectations for what that means. Like right now, and I know that the Pirates of the Caribbean, one of the writers involved or whatever, recently said like, well, nothing's set in stone and stuff, but like, I genuinely do believe, at least in the next few years, Johnny Depp would never want to go back to them. Like there's going to be a lot of stuff that I don't think he's going to want to do anymore.
Yeah, I'm conflicted in general because so I've said continuously, I don't blame him. And again, I think people get very confused sometimes in my videos because, of course, I want him back as Jack. There's probably not anybody that wants him back more than I do, and I don't say that in any exaggeratory way. But if they offer him, so I've said my perfect pitch. If I'm Disney, and by the way, that was Jerry Bruckheimer who said that, Jay. So it was kind of a big deal. No, but if you're Disney and he wins, my offer. You go to Johnny and you say, I can't even tell you how sorry we are. Like we you're speechless, right? We are so sorry. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you everything back. You were going to co-write Pirate 6. Here's the script. Go meet with Jerry right now. He's in the other room. Sean Bailey's there too. Like all the writers, they're there. Go in there and you craft your Pirate 6 with them. Okay, so you do that. We're going to issue a public apology on Instagram, on Twitter. We're going to tell people that we are idiots and we made a mistake, and we're going to make it right by you. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to offer you more money than we would, so we're going to offer you $30 million instead of $22.5 million. We're going to offer you back-end pay, and you get your creative freedom in Pirates. And if you want to come back after this, you can do. That's what I'm doing. If I'm Disney, I'm giving him all of that. And if he still says no, I, as Alex, can't be mad at him because of that reason. These people are the scum. And so, like, while I just said that, and while I would take a Pirate 6, these people are the scumbags of the earth. Disney is an evil, corrupt, awful organization. Warner Bros. Same thing. These people are bad. They just are. They're scummy. They live in this little weird pocket of the world in Hollywood. They're bad people. So if you're Johnny, you say, F you. You turned your back on me when I needed you. When it was my word versus hers, you took her word and you fired me. So no, I meant it. When I said $300 million and 1 million alpacas, I meant it. You can't get me back. Now, again, he didn't say an apology when he said that, that funny, joking thing, which I think there's some truth behind when he said that, but I also think he was, being himself and he would talk like that. I do think if they apologized and they did a public apology, I think it's possible. I really, again, to your point, I'm not living in fantasy land, like expecting Pirates 6 to come out next year. You know what I mean? So I want to make that known, but I am more in the middle than I think most. I think some people would say there's absolutely no chance he's coming back. I think there are people very optimistic as well. I'm kind of in the middle where I get it if he says no, but I do think it's legitimately possible. It depends on how Disney treats him. And again, like if you're Johnny, you better be treated like a freaking king, like a prince, like again, somebody that they turned your back on, but they're really sorry about it.
Yeah, if they really no, Disney would never do this, by the way, because like this is Disney. They try to absorb all rights of everything they own. If they really, really wanted him back, you would put in that offer partial ownership. But they will never do that. They will never do that.
I mean, Jerry Bruckheimer even. I mean, that's the only person who's that tied with Pirates, so
But it just seems so how would I say it? It seems like a very complicated situation, in terms of him ever coming back to stuff like that. And there's other things too. Working with WB. That's also up there in terms of, well, we'd have to see what he would ever do again with them. I'm not trying to be negative on it either,
that one I would never return to if I'm him. I'd never return.
And I agree with you, by the way, too, like in terms of I think that's the kind of stuff you offer. But if he doesn't take it, I just think that people shouldn't be angry at him.
I wouldn't blame. These are the worst people in the world. He needed that. Like the thing is, like I like Jerry Bruckheimer, and I want to like Jerry Bruckheimer, and I do believe he is one of the only people fighting. I think the reason we keep hearing there's more than one Pirates script is I legitimately believe they have written Pirates. I'll bet whatever. I bet you there's in the Disney archives, there are scripts written with Pirate 6 or Margot Robbie's or whatever that has Jack Sparrow in the script. 100% guaranteed. I know there has to be. And that's because of Jerry Bruckheimer. But it's a double-edged thing where it's like I believe that and I think that's true and I want to like the guy, but these people are cowards. These people are such pathetic cowards. You know what I mean? They don't... I get it. I mean, I get it. If you're Jerry Bruckheimer, you shut up. You can't talk. There's probably a lot of legal reasons for you to not talk. But these people are absolutely pathetic deep down. Maybe. I guess maybe. And the thing is, like, how does Johnny view... if he wins next week, and then he talks to Jerry Bruckheimer the week after, which I would assume people are going to start to call him that haven't talked to him in a while. What does Johnny Depp think of Jerry Bruckheimer right now? What does he think? Does he think, yeah, you effed up, you should have believed me? Or does he say, Jerry actually does believe me, and he's always been fighting for me in Disney, they don't believe me? Like that, we just don't know those answers.
Yeah, I think the thing that frustrates me almost the most about this case, other than just those narratives being brought in like we talked about and stuff like that, and affecting how people view it, both on the outside and on the inside is just like the idea. I mean, it's really on display how no one sticks by their friends in Hollywood. It
Oh
means
yeah, yeah,
nothing. It
yeah.
means nothing at all. And I don't just say this. If somebody came out tomorrow and was saying stuff not true about you, and I knew that that wasn't true, I would be talking about it. You
Yeah,
know what I
me
mean?
too. Same back.
Even if that would lump me in with
Yeah,
you and make me look bad, it's like, no, this is legitimately my friend. This isn't just somebody I know. This is somebody I legitimately care about.
yeah.
And it just seems like there's none of that allegiance between a lot of these people, which I think is really sad. And I think that's how you end up with relationships like Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
because there's
Is
a lot of people
there-
like Amber, I think, in Hollywood.
yes,
There's a ton of them.
and they're all professional actors, and you
Right.
can very easily drag that into your
And they're
everyday
better
life.
actors than Amber.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. I certainly think that Amber's acting would not be viewed as well as it is if she didn't look the way she does. But that's probably a discussion for another day.
I mean, when they talked about Aquaman 2, right? I mean, there was a lot of lies and then also truthfulness in those Aquaman 2 statements. But when they were talking about Aquaman and they said her agent said the review, they asked, what were the reviews of Amber like in Aquaman 1? And she said, all positive. The guy I was watching, Nick Riccado, who I've been watching since the beginning, he literally pulled up 3 reviews immediately that hated Amber's performance. It's like, no, who watched Aquaman truly and thought Amber was like a shining star? Who in God's name thought she was good in that? I remember saying when I saw it that Amber was easily the worst part of it. She is. She doesn't have chemistry with Jason. She's not a good actress. She literally is not a good actress. And then one of the, and I said this in a video, I don't know if you caught this, Jay. So one of the funniest things that came out during the whole let's prop Amber up time is they talked about, or they went to her acting coach, and her acting coach, I think, screwed her over big time by accident. Her acting coach said Amber has trouble cry acting. She has trouble crying when she is acting. She can't produce tears. Here's what I said in the video. If anybody on the jury heard that, it's over. Because what happened? Amber was on stand a few days before, and Amber didn't cry. She was trying to cry. She couldn't cry. Then the acting coach said, because I know the difference when Amber real cries versus acting cries. You really should tell that acting coach to shut up because it's a bad thing that she said. So, you know what I mean? Like, you look at Amber and you say she was acting then because she couldn't produce real tears. So they were fake. So if anybody on the jury, I don't know if you caught that, Jay, if anybody heard that lady say that, I think it's game over because they were right. They were within 10 feet. They were like to her left. You know what I mean? Like they were, or to her right. They were right there. And they saw her trying to cry, but she couldn't. And then she just had her acting coach say, yeah, she has trouble like crying on the spot, basically. It's like, oh my dear, like you just crushed her.
Yeah, like there was really nothing there. There was no substance. And I think that it's really, really ridiculous when you have like that going on and such all the bad optics too, like walking out of court before it's dismissed, essentially,
yeah,
or
so
as it's
bad.
being dismissed when being told to sit down next to
Yeah.
legal counsel and stuff like that. And I know that Johnny was getting irritated with I know that he was getting irritated with Amber's side when they were like asking him questions and cutting him off, you know, much earlier in the trial and being like, oh, stop wasting the court's time and stuff like that. Yes, he was getting irritated and he made a couple of like minor comments about it.
Yeah.
But like Amber was seething.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when she was on the stand getting asked questions from Camille, she was just like ready to blow her lid. Like she was so mad and you could tell in the way she was responding. And it's like, and this is the person you're painting as someone who doesn't have an anger issue, who's completely fine and all this stuff. And she's the one in court telling us how drugs actually work. She's the one telling us.
She's like, with all due respect, I mean, you don't really know. I mean, I'm the cocaine addict here. So it's like, oh my
Right,
God,
right, but
Amber,
Johnny's
stop,
bad.
please, Amber.
He's the addict. He's bad. I do cocaine. I'm okay. You know,
Yeah.
it's just one of those weird things.
Well, her story was, I don't do cocaine, but then her sister comes up and says, yeah, I did cocaine with Johnny like all the time. Like him and I were cocaine, but so your sister did cocaine with him all the time, but you didn't? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I don't get it. And I know there's things that they can't reference here, but I mean, back in the UK trial, even you had that doctor who said straight up that she had addiction problems.
Yes.
You know, that she had demonstrated
I think
signs
you can
of that.
bring, yeah, you can bring that. You can't bring up the verdict. The verdict of the UK can't be brought into this for any reason. But A lot of the
Which
other
is interesting because I have a hard time believing that no jury member knows what the verdict was, since it was
that's the
everywhere.
only thing working against him, I think, is that yeah, for
Yeah,
the jury you say, well, he did lose the UK one, but if you know that, hopefully you know that because it was rigged, because the judge was like best was like related to one of her best friends. There's a whole tree that that went back in the UK. So if they
right.
know, yeah, if they know he lost, hopefully they know why he lost and that it was rigged from the beginning. All right, well, we're going to start wrapping up soon, but to answer a couple things that I saw. So remember, they're doing the end, deliberation. They're doing the closing arguments next Friday. So that's what's going on next Friday. I know she doesn't have $50 million. I saw that question. She doesn't have $50 million. So I don't think he's going to be awarded $50 million personally. I don't think it would be amazing if he won $50 million. That'd be great. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think he'll be awarded $1. So they'll say he wins and he gets $1, and that just means he wins. So that's what I think is going to happen. Because if it's 50, she just doesn't have. Or they could also award him the divorce back, so that not the actual divorce, the money from So the $7 million, technically it was $14 million, but he could get $7 million back from her. And I know people kept saying the baller move would be for him to donate that divorce to the charities, but at this point, the ACLU is also a scumbag organization, and I don't really think you should donate to them, to be honest. So I don't think you should donate. Amber and Whitney's stories do not match. Agreed, they don't match. Amber's being investigated for perjury in the UK and in Australia, so she's going to be busy in court after this. Meanwhile, Johnny will be done, so that'll be fun. But yeah, she is being looked at for it's impossible to prove perjury in like the US in this case, so she's not going to get caught here. But she is being investigated both in the UK and in Australia, which means she can't enter UK or Australia. So she can't film there, she can't work there, she can't go there. So that's fun. Oh, you can force yeah, that's true. You can force a bankruptcy. She can go that route. All right, guys. Well, I mean, you all freaking rock. So let me just say this again. I mean, Jay, all his stuff is in the comments, or not in the description below is Jay's link to his channel. An amazing guy. He's talked about Johnny before. I'm sure he'll do it probably when the case is over. I think he's told me. So please go support him. Make sure you guys like this video. Subscribe here if you're brand new. I have a Patreon. I have YouTube memberships if you guys want to support me there. A couple bucks every month. However you guys want to support. Jay, any final thing you want to say?
I just think it's such a messy situation. It's been interesting to watch, although very taxing. I'm sure even more for you, who's watched every minute.
That's the worst.
Essentially,
I'm done.
I think you've done a very good job covering this. I'm not just saying that because I'm on your stream, but I think I commented the other day on one of your videos. It legitimately means a lot to people to be talking about this, and I know that there are a lot of people legitimately clout chasing off of this case on both sides and doing a lot of stuff to build themselves up. On purpose and things like that. But I do think that you've covered a lot of aspects of this case that I really appreciate, that were not going to be high view count things, and the ones that were, and didn't shy away from either side of that. So I think that you've been doing a really good job with that. I'm interested to see what happens with the end of this and what you put out with it. And I'm sure I will talk about it one more time on my own channel after the verdict. But yeah, and it's exhausting. It's just sad.
Yeah, I mean, my throat hurts every day when I'm watching. I feel dead inside. Now, some of the days are really tough. But all right, so guys, yeah, I mean, Sunday I'm gonna have a video on Johnny's stuff. This upcoming week, Monday through Thursday, I'm gonna do a recap every single day on it. I don't know what my plan is. So, like, again, Friday they do the closing. I'll probably do a video right after the closing arguments, and then I don't know. I want a live stream, but then if the verdict doesn't come in, then that would suck. And then if the verdict when the verdict comes in it, like if he wins or loses, I want a live stream so that you can see my reaction, immediately. So that's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully I don't break anything, or hopefully I'm going to have some water next to me so that I can, not die and my throat won't destroy myself. So
don't toss any bottles, Alex. Don't toss any bottles.
I'm not going to toss a single wine bottle in the vicinity of somebody, even though it won't hit anybody. No, I won't do it, and then break up with that person. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Jay, from the bottom of my heart for being here. I've tried to get Jay several times, and I truly am. I'm so happy he was able to come here. It was awesome having him here. You guys have been so great. I mean, we had almost record-breaking kind of numbers here, so you guys freaking rock. So thank you, Jay. thank you, audience. I'll be back for more videos and more live streams, and we'll see you all next time.